Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video we are going to learn an English chapter of class 9. All stories are Anansi'S and it's written by Harold Corlando. So let's begin with the chapter and see what is this story about. But before that, students, if you're viewing my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get the notifications of my all the upcoming videos. Do watch the video till end, and if you like it, hit the like button and share with your friends. And yes, students, we're also coming up with Hindi lesson explanation and question answers of standard 10 currently, and will be coming soon with the ninth standard Hindi explanation also. So do subscribe the channel first classes. The link will be shared in the description box wherein you can click and see the videos of standard 10th Hindi question answers. Share with your friends, and soon we'll be uploading the ninth standard Hindi videos also. So students, do subscribe the channel and get the benefits to the fullest. So moving on to the chapter, all the stories are Anansi'S. Let us see about the author first. So Harold Corlander, he was from September 18, 1908 till March 15, 1996. He was an American novelist, he was a folklorist and anthropologist, and he was expert in the study of Haitian life and the author of 35 books and plays and numerous scholarly articles. Corlander specialized in the study of African, Caribbean, Afro-American, and American Indian cultures. So he was an all-rounder. He was such a specialized person. He took a special interest in oral literature, cults, and Afro American cultural connections with Africa. Okay, so though he was an American, he also had his cultural connections with Africa with the help of his studies, and he was author of many books where he has written books and plays which belong to many other countries also, especially the Africans. So this was about the brief history about the author. So let's move on to the chapter, to the story. So this chapter or the story, you can say, students, is filled with the number of animal characters. So the names here are difficult to pronounce. So here we will be helping you out to how to pronounce the name and what are those characters here actually. So these are little bit like African names. So we are first going to discuss the characters. We'll see it, and then we are going to proceed into the story. Okay, so the name which are to be pronounced, our first one is Niame. He is the sky god in this story. Then Moboro is the hornets, like a fly, a kind of house fly or an insect. Then we have Onini, he is the great python. Okay, python. Then we have Osabo is the leopard, and we have calabash. It's a large fruit that is dried and made into a bowl or a cup. Okay, so these are the animals, and we are having one large bowl which is calabash, which is made out of uh, dried a large fruit. So these are the characters in this story. So it is somewhat about Jungle Book story which we are going to read today, wherein the animal character is trying to attack and trap the other animals. So let us see what is the story about. So here goes the story. In the beginning, all tales and stories belong to Niame, the sky god. But Kwaku Anansi, the spider, yearned to be the owner of all the stories known in the world, and he went to Niame and offered to buy them. Okay, so here all the tales and stories, tales are nothing but stories. Okay, it belonged to Niame, the sky god. Niame is a creature, and he was the sky god. It is the sky god, and all the stories was his. It belonged to him. But Kwaku Anansi is the spider here in the chapter. He wanted to be owner. It wanted to be an owner of all the stories in the world. So for that purpose, it went to Niame and he offered to buy all the credit for himself. So there was a conversation going on between them. He went and requested this. So the sky god said, I'm willing to sell the stories, but the price is high. Many people have come to me offering to buy, but the price was too high for them. Rich and powerful families have not been able to pay. Do you think you can do it? Okay, so this rich god, the sky god, he answered that yes, I am willing to sell the stories. You want it? I'll give you, but you have to give the price for it, and the price is very high. And he says that also many of the people, they came to me to offer a good lump sum of price for it, but they were not able to because it was very high price which I set them. They were very rich and poor, from powerful families, but even then they were not able to pay the price. So do you think you can do it, Anansi? So Anansi replied to Sky God, I can do it. What is the price? Okay, he so confidently it said, what is the price? Then my price is three things, the sky god said. I must first have Moboro, the hornets. I must then have Onini, the great python. I must then have Osebo, the leopard. For these things, I'll sell you the right to tell all stories. Okay, so what was the price here? The price was the three things. Here, Niame wanted three things. It wanted the Moboro, that is the hornets, that are the flies, insects. Then it wanted Orini, the great python, and it also wanted Osebo, the leopard. So all these three things, if Anansi bought and gave it to Niame, then he will give him all the credit to take the stories on her behalf. It will all the stories will belong to then Anansi the spider. So now Anansi said, I'll bring them. He went home and made his plans. He first cut a gourd from a vine and made a small hole in it. He took a large calabash and filled it with water, and went into the tree where the hornets lived. He poured some of the water over himself so that he was dripping. He threw some water over the hornets so they too were dripping. Then he put the calabash on his head as though to protect himself from a storm, and called out to the hornets, Are you foolish people? Why do you stay in the rain that is falling? The hornets answered, Where shall we go? Yeah, so you can see, students, here how the plan was made by Anansi here. He went home, he made its plans, and one of the gourd, like bottle gourds, you have vegetable in the same way. He took a gourd, he cut it first into a vine, like a hole, like a pipe, and then he made a small hole in it from one side. And then he took a large calabash, which is a bowl made out of a dry fruit, which we have seen earlier now. He filled it with water and kept it above his head as if to assume that it's raining, and he is saving himself from the rain with the help of that calabash. And he went to the tree where the hornets lived, and he poured some of his water before going there, as if he was dripping because of rain. And then after going near the tree, what he did was he threw some water over the hornets who were living in the tree, and even they too started dripping. Now then he put protect then he is assuming that as if he is protecting himself from a calabash, and then he is saying to hornets, are you all foolish people? Why do you stay here in the rain? It's going to fall now, everything. So the poor hornets, they said, where shall we go then? It's raining so heavily. If we go out, we'll be dying. So where shall we go? We don't have any other option. Go here into a dry gourd. And Nancy told them. So that gourd which he had made a hole in from one side, he told them to go inside, and it is a dry one, so you will be saved. The hornets thanked him and flew into the gourd through the small hole. When the last of them had entered, Anansi plucked the hole with a ball of grass, saying, Oh, yes, but you are really foolish people. Okay, students. So, what did the Hornets do? They were very happy here when they got the help from Anansi. They thought, "Oh, we are going to save a life now." So they flew into the guard from through the hole which he had made. And when all the Hornets entered, the last one also entered. Anansi, he suddenly plucked, means he closed the hole with the ball of grass, and he said, "Yes, now you are real foolish people." So here the poor hornets, they have been tricked by Anansi. So then he took the god full of hornets to Niame, the sky god. The sky god accepted them. He said there are two more things. So he wanted three things. So one is done. He got the hornets. Now Anansi returned to the forest and cut a long bamboo pole and some strong vines. Then he walked towards the house of Onini the python. Talking to himself, he said, My wife is stupid. I say he is longer and stronger. My wife says he's shorter and weaker. I give him more respect. She gives him less respect. Is she right or am I right? I am right. He's longer. I am right. He's stronger. When Onini the python heard Anansi talking to himself, he said, "Why are you arguing this way with yourself?" So students here, Anansi is making a second trick to catch hold of Onini the python. What he does, he goes and cut a long bamboo pole, from some strong branch or the tree from the vines which are there. And then he walked towards the house of Onini, where this python really lives. And he stands there nearby wantedly and he starts talking to himself. And he says that my wife is stupid. I say he's longer and stronger. My wife says he's stronger, shorter and weaker. Like this, as if he has had a fight with his wife, he's coming, standing there and arguing by himself. And he wantedly was doing so because he wanted this python to listen to him and come out. This was actually a trick. Then he says the whole thing that I'm saying no, the python is longer, he's stronger, but my wife doesn't accept this. She says no, he is weaker and shorter. Say me, who is right? Am I right or she is right? So this was the thing which the this Anansi was going and conversing with in front of the Onine's house, that is the python's house. And when python heard this thing, it came out and it's saying, why are you arguing this way with yourself? Then he says that, yes, I had a real dispute with my wife. She says that you are shorter and weaker than this bamboo pole. I say you are longer and stronger. Then, with the help of that pole students which he was having in his hand, the bamboo pole, he is saying that my wife says that you are shorter and weaker than this bamboo pole. So, let's see now what happens. Then Onini said, "It is useless and silly to argue when you can find out the truth. Bring the pole and we will measure." So now Onini is happy that yes, I am stronger and I am longer, as you say. But it is useless if your wife is not understanding that. Don't argue. You know that what is the truth. So he says, "Bring the pole here and let us measure." So Anansi let the pole on the ground, and the python came and stretched himself out beside it. So when Anansi kept the pole down on the ground, this python it went just besides the pole and stretched himself as if to measure who is longer, the pole or he himself, the python. Then you seem a little short, Anansi said. The python stretched further. A little more, Anansi said. When you stretch at one end, you get shorter at the other end, Anansi said. Let me tie you at front so you don't slip. So see how the trick, how well it is planned by Anansi. And when the python is stretching to measure itself longer, Anansi says, "No, you seem too little short. When you stretch yourself further so that you can be longer than the pole. A little more." Like this, it's trying to trick the python. But when at the end it says that you get shorter at one end if you stretch from the other side. So let me tie you at front so you that you will not be slipping and you will be measuring properly. We can measure it out properly because of your smoothness of the skin. You are being slipped through the pole. So this was the trick again. Let us see what happens. He tied Onini's head to the pole. Then he went to the other end and tied the tail to the pole. He wrapped the vine all around Onini until the python could not move. Onini, Onini, Anansi said, "It turns out that my wife was right and I was wrong. You are shorter than the pole and weaker. My opinion wasn't as good as my wife's, but you were even more foolish than I, and you are now my prisoner." Okay, so see how tricking way made the Onini's head was tied to the pole. I mean, yeah, Python's head was tied to the pole, and then it was tied from the tail also, and he was wrapped with the vine, like with the thread kind of vine all around the Onini, so that it cannot move at all. And then when it was done, Anansi says that, "Onini, listen, my wife was right that I was wrong. You really are shorter than Paul and you are weaker. And my opinion was not as good as my wife's. So she is the winner. But I say you are more foolish than I was. You now are my prisoner. That means he has, in a tricking way, he has caught the python and he has tied him with the pole and so tightly that it cannot move at all. Now, Anansi carried the python to the Niyame, the sky god, who said, "There is one thing more." So now here Anansi had bought two things and paid to the Niyame, the sky god. So there was one more thing left out. Now let us see what trick this Anansi applies to capture the leopard. Okay. So Osebo, the leopard, was next. Anansi went into the forest and dug a deep pit where the leopard was accustomed to walk. He covered it with the small branches and leaves and put dust on it so that it was impossible to tell where the pit was. Anansi went away and hid. When Osebo came prowling in the black night, he stepped into the trap Anansi had prepared and fell to the bottom. Anansi heard the sound of the leopard falling and he said, "Ah, Osebo, you are half foolish." So, students, now, so intelligently and tricking way, the Osebo, the leopard, was bought under the trap by Anansi. What did Anansi do? It dug a deep pit under the on the ground where usually the leopard used to walk, and he covered it with the leaves and the bushes so that he is not able to see the pit, and he hid himself. And when it was black night, this Osebo came out and he fell into in the pit and went to the bottom. And when Anansi heard the sound of the leopard falling, he said, "Ah, Osebo, you are half foolish that you have got trapped in my trick." Now, when morning came, Anansi went to the pit and saw the leopard there. "Osebo," he asked, "what are you doing in this hole?" "I have fallen into a trap," Osebo said. "Help me out." "I would gladly help you," Anansi said, "but I'm sure that if I bring you out, I will have no thanks for it. You will get hungry, and later on you will be wanting to eat me and my children." See how well Anansi is tricking again. Next morning, it came to the pit and saw the leopard and uh, asked to him so sympathetically that, "Why? What are you doing here in this hole?" So poor Sebo, he doesn't know that he has only made the trap there, and he says that, "See, I have fallen into the trap here. Help me out, please, to come out from this deep pit." And so this Anansi is saying, "I'll be very glad to help you, but I'm sure if I bring you out, you will eat me instead of saying me thanks, and also you will eat my children. So how do I take out?" So this was the again tricky question here. Then, "I swear it won't happen," Osebo said. "Very well, since you swear it, I will take you out," Nancy said. So Osebo promised that it will not eat any of its children nor the Anansi after it comes out or after it's helped out. So at this time, Anansi agrees to help him. "Okay, because you're swearing it, I will help you to come out." Then he bent a tall tree towards the ground so that its top was over the pit, and he tied it that way. Then he tied a rope to the tree and dropped the other end of it into the pit. So he was trying the rope from the tree, trying to tie with the branches of it and to the tip of the tree and bring it down near the pit so that it can reach down. And he also threw one side of the rope to the down towards the leopard. Now he says, "Tie this to your tail." Osebo tied the rope to his tail. "Is it well tied?" Anansi asked. "Yes, it is well tied," the leopard said. "In that case," Anansi said, "you are not merely half foolish, you are all foolish." See how well he is tricking, and he's saying to tie it in his towards his tail also. So now leopard, because it wanted to come out, he thought that Anansi is helping him. It tied it to its tail, and now he's confirming. Anansi is confirming that, "Have you tied the rope properly? Is it well tied?" The leopard said, "Yes, it is well tied." And then Hanansi says, "In that case, you are not half foolish, but you are all foolish." And then, and he took his knife and cut the other rope, the one that held the tree board to the ground. The tree straightened up with a snap, pulling Osebo out of the hole. He hung in the air, head downward, twisting and turning. And while he hung this way, Anansi killed him with his weapons. Okay, so now the leopard was in the trap in the hands of Anansi because he cut the rope and the tree straightened again. And along with that, even the tail which was tied in the rope and the upper branch of the tree was straightened, and the leopard was hanging himself. He was hanging in the air, head downward, and he was twisting and turning. And this is how Anansi killed him with his weapons. Now, then he took the body of the leopard and carried it to Niamey, the sky god, saying, "Here is the third thing. Now I have paid the price." So now all the three things which Niamey wanted by Anansi was given to him. Now he wanted to have all the credit of the stories to himself. Now Niamey said to him, "Kuwako Anansi, great warriors and chiefs have tried, but they have been unable to do it. You have done it. Therefore, I'll give you the stories. From this day onward, all stories belong to you. Whenever a man tells a story, he must acknowledge that it is Anansi's tale." Okay, so from that day onwards, all the stories which were said, which belonged to Niame at first, now it belonged to Kuwako Anansi. And he also says, Niame says that Kuwako Anansi, there were so many great warriors and chiefs and ministers and powerful people who have tried to do this, but they were unable to do it. But you have done that work, and it's great. And therefore, I'll give you the all my stories as your to your credit. And from this day onwards, whatever stories the man is saying in the world will be acknowledging that it is Anansi's tale. Means they will be giving the credit to Anansi, that this belonged to Anansi. In this way, Anansi the spider became the owner of all the stories that are told to Anansi. All these tales belong. So from that day onwards, all the story you read belongs to Anansi the spider. He is the owner of all the stories. So that is why even this story is named after Anansi's. All stories are Anansi's. Okay. So, students, with this, we come to an end with this chapter. I hope it was clear. You enjoyed reading this story. I hope this video was also helpful for you. And thank you for watching my video so patiently. We'll be back soon with some other videos and with the question answers of this chapter. Till then, thank you.